All right. Get back on track here. All right. Enterprise Fleet Management Lease Agreement. Mr. Morrison.
Thank you, Mayor. I also have with me this evening our fleet supervisor, Tony Jane, and I have with me from Enterprise Fleet Management, Ali Bonet and Anthony Emlin. Just for a little bit of a background, the City of Yuba City owns its vehicles. We have about 165 vehicles in our vehicle replacement plan, vehicles and equipment. The replacement plan has been about 75% funded each year since the end of the recession. We have about a 50%, some of our vehicles are only 50% funded, some of them are up to 75. We're actually considering leasing late model fleet to produce the highest fuel economy possible, have the latest safety equipment, lowest purchase price, and a higher resale value. And to give a presentation is going to be Ali and Anthony.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen of the council. I will, thank you. I will introduce myself, and then I'll let Anthony introduce himself. So my name is Ali Bonet. I'm an account executive for Enterprise Fleet Management. So my primary role is to onboard new accounts and to focus on new business opportunities, both in the commercial and government space. So I've been with Enterprise for about 4 years now, and I'm pretty familiar with the government space. I've worked with City of Rockland most recently, and then County of Humboldt, and then we're also going to be partnering with County of Siskiyou and Dos Palos Oro Unified School District. So very familiar in the government space, and then I'll let Anthony kind of introduce himself.
Sure. Thank you, members of the council. Anthony Emlin, Area Sales Manager with Enterprise Fleet Management. I've been with Enterprise for 10 years, just recently relocated out here from Philadelphia, so still getting a lay of the land out here in California and loving it so far. My role and responsibility as the area sales manager is to oversee our account executive team, so Ali Bonet and her peers, as well as our client strategy manager team. So they're the ones who are focused on providing exceptional client experience, but also providing recommendations that are fiscally and operationally sound on an ongoing basis. So that's a little bit about my background. Ali is going to be primarily running the show, but I'll definitely be available to answer any questions as you see fit.
And then just some housekeeping, we did leave some time. It's only about 4 or 5 slides, so we did leave some time at the end for questions. So if you guys have any questions, just feel free to wait to the end and we'll get to them. So here, like I said, we throughout the state of California, primarily out of our branch, because we are located in the greater Sacramento area, we've partnered with about 180 government clients, and that's cities, counties, special districts, schools. So here's a list of some of our current clients, all range in different tenure, but Enterprise as a whole grows organically from word of mouth and referrals and providing excellent customer service. So that is our ultimate goal. So again, here's some of our current clients, and they all range from tenure and type of client. So before kind of getting into our recommendations that we put forth to Tony and Spencer, we are looking at 48 vehicles, which is somewhat of a pilot program. Like Spencer was saying, there's over 100 vehicles currently in the fleet, but we're primarily looking at 48 vehicles. So here's some of the opportunities that we found within the fleet currently. 81% of those vehicles are 10 years and older. The average age of the current fleet is a little under 15 years. The average age of disposal is about 24 years. Obviously, with a aging fleet, you're going to have higher fuel and maintenance costs, increased downtime, and then ultimately that's going to negatively impact productivity. We're also going to be focusing on standard safety equipment, how that's played a huge role in a lot of our government clients with cycling out their vehicles. Ultimately, Yuba City will save, when we did a 10-year evaluation, $430,000 within a 10-year period. The average sustainable savings once that program is implemented after the 4th year is a average about $50,500 per year. So some of the objectives that we're going to look at transitioning into is going to be we're going to go from a vehicle life cycle, which I had mentioned earlier, of 24 years to a little under 3 years. And again, this depends on the type of vehicle, how many miles that vehicle is going per year, and the utilization. We're going to be selling some of those vehicles. We're going to be working with Tony to sell some vehicles. If we were to sell all 48, we would get a estimated capital of $259,000. Maintenance savings, so right now it's about $155 per car per month. We're going to be reducing that cost to about $28 per month per vehicle. Ultimately, this is going to save about $73,300 per year. Fuel spend will reduce about 27%, and this will lead to about $11,300 savings per year. Ultimately, we're going to be leveraging an open-end lease, which just allows the city to maximize on its cash flow. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to look at some standard safety equipment. So obviously transitioning vehicles on a 3-4 year basis. Some of them are a little bit newer or with less term lengths, but you're going to have newer vehicles. But currently there's 30 vehicles out of that 48 that predate the anti-lock brake standardization, which was implemented in 2007. 39 of those vehicles predate the electronic stability control standardization in 2012. And then 42 of those vehicles predate the standardization of the backup camera. So that would be a huge focus for us, would be to obviously implement a cycling plan that will allow Yuba City to have newer vehicles and have up-to-date standard features. In regards to an RFP process, we will be piggybacking off of the Sourcewell contract that we were awarded. So Enterprise Fleet Management as a whole was awarded a Sourcewell contract, and Yuba City is a member. It compares us to other fleet management companies and looks at items such as bidder's ability to sell, bidder's marketing plan, a variety of products, and then industry successes as well. So here are the results. So as a city, Yuba City does acquire vehicles at a much lower rate with the government buy. So we are going to be leveraging your buying power and then implementing more controlled resale program. So recycling vehicles, depending on the vehicle, could be every 12, 24, 36, 48 months. So again, we're going to be looking at each vehicle as a separate contract. We're going to be lowering that total cost of ownership because we're going to be reducing maintenance and fuel costs. And we're going to be right-sizing the fleet. So if we do indicate that there are any vehicles that aren't needed due to low annualized mileage, then we will recommend to get rid of that vehicle. And then ultimately, after I had mentioned earlier, after we implement this program, within a 4-year period, the average sustainable savings will be $50,500. So this will create a sustainable, budget-friendly, safe program. So your employees and the constituents will know that Yuba City is operating safer vehicles. We are also going to be using a local upfitter cop shop that is located in Yuba City. And then based on availability and the competitive pricing, we will use local dealers as well to acquire vehicles. Any questions?
Any questions?
I have one. Your last comment was based on availability, you would acquire vehicles through local dealers.
Yes.
I've noticed a shortage of inventory driving around town. Can you address that?
Yeah, it's a struggle we're seeing nationwide due to the microchip shortage. A lot of the vehicles that we acquire aren't through in stock, through a dealer right now anyways, just because availability is pretty low. I would say that we have a good relationship with local dealers, so we are able to kind of find vehicles maybe a little bit quicker than some others may be able to find vehicles, but we would recommend looking at a factory order, which a lot of our evaluation does come from a factory order. So we'd be ordering the vehicles specifically from the manufacturer. But we can use dealers, but it kind of depends with the market and if vehicles are available. But nationwide, you're seeing a shortage due to the microchip shortage. Hopefully that gets better within a year or so, depending on what happens with COVID and any more other shutdowns and the microchip shortage. So.
Thank you.
Do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, if I could add, one of the benefits to a factory order as opposed to an in-stock vehicle is you're not subject to the option content that's available. We can build it to spec based off of the needs of the application and the job. There is a lead time, but we did factor that into the program. We're looking really probably out until the early spring when these vehicles would actually arrive.
If I may, what types of vehicles would you not be able to provide?
Ambulances? No.
Hesitate.
We're able to provide any vehicles that have an emergency response but that's not going to be the primary focus. We're going to be looking more at the light duty fleet specifically for this pilot program. The only vehicles that we have restrictions with today is anything that's over 26,000 pound GVW, so anything that would be over that heavy duty class. But we could do anything under that. We also can't do equipment, so any street sweepers or fire trucks.
And then with all the, you have several clients here, so it's a pretty successful program for you so far. In your experience, have they communicated anything that may be a disadvantage to going this route to you?
So as Ali had alluded to, they are all at different tenures. So it starts off with the plan and a framework that the account executive would provide, and as our industry changes and the needs change within your organization, that's when we have a dedicated client strategy manager that would be evaluating on an ongoing basis changes in our market and the industry and how to best pair that up with you. As far as disadvantages, the only disadvantage that I could think of, I mean, you're in an equity lease, so there's a lot of flexibility. So a lot of people hear the term lease, they think you're locked into a contract, but since it's an equity lease, we do make sure that it's conservatively depreciated based off of where we see the market going. So if you decide to early term a vehicle, we would only recommend based off of the anticipated resale and the balance on the vehicle, whether it makes sense to get out of it early or not. But that's an ongoing conversation. So to answer your question, the whole idea is to stick with the plan, replace more vehicles with less capital outlay, which would drive up your resale proceeds, getting out of vehicles that have higher value, but also reducing your maintenance expenses as well. Where we see issues is where we deviate from the plan and the fleet starts to age again, and then the capital that's available in order to continue to have those proceeds fund the fleet from a resale side is really where we run into issues year after year.
And then for the city manager, how do we do as far as insurance, if you will? Liability, I know we're kind of basically self-insured, but how would the same program?
Same insurance program. That
Nothing
doesn't
different.
change. It gives us an opportunity to, leverage leasing versus capitalizing and buying equipment outright. So this is
Thank you.
a demo.
Any other questions? Okay. Any questions or comments from the public?
No comments.
Thanks. All right. Council.
Through the mayor. I move to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Enterprise FM Trust, Delaware subsidiary trust, to lease city vehicles.
Second.
All right. I have a motion by Vice Mayor Shaw, a tie for a second. I'll give this one to Councilperson Kirchner. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, item 16 passes unanimously.